Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Agent 0042, and you're watching the first video of my Giant in the Playground Pokemon Challenge. Now for those of you who have no idea what that is, I went to the Giant in the Playground forums a few days ago, and asked the members there to give me a list of 7 Pokemon. Any 7 Pokemon. And they could be just as specific as they wanted with them. So they could give me just the species, or they could give me the stats and the moves and the item to go with it, whatever they wanted. Using that list, I made a team of 6 Pokemon, and my goal is to see just how high of a ranking I can get with that team over a 2-week period. This is going to take place on Pokemon Showdown, which is an online battle simulator, and I'm going to be battling on the official Smogon server. So, let's have a look at the team. There's 2 important things that I noticed whenever I was making this team. First off, everyone on this team is blue, or can be made blue. And this is very important because appearance matters. Second off, this team is incredibly fighting weak. What makes it worse is that the tier that I'm battling in, which is underused, has a lot of strong fighting types. This is just a hurdle for me to overcome, and truth be told, I don't always overcome it, but you'll see that in videos to come. So, that said, let's have a look at the team. First on this list is Corsola, and Corsola is widely regarded as not being that good. And by not that good, I mean terrible. She has bad stats, she has an awful typing, and she doesn't really get a chance to do much. She usually dies before she can move. I gave her Stealth Rock because she's the only thing on my team that learns it, and rocks are always appreciated. But to be honest, she usually doesn't set it up. But you know what? I mean, she tries. She tries, and she just dies, but, gold star for her. I gave her Head Smash in the second slot, it's actually really funny, because with Head Smash and her ability, which is Hustle, that works out to about a 340 power rock move or thereabouts, which is a lot. And that, I mean, even coming off Corsola, that's going to hurt. What makes it even worse is that a lot of the common switch-ins to Corsola, and I say this like someone is going to have a dedicated Corsola counter on their team, are things like Crobat or Zatu or Tornadus, which are all weak to rock. Yeah. Now the downside to this is that Head Smash is already not accurate and Hustle drops that even further, so it only hits just over half the time. But whenever it does connect, it's awesome and it's hilarious. Her last 2 moves are filler. I've never actually used them in battle, because like I said, she dies before I get a chance to. But in theory, Earthquake gives good coverage with Head Smash, and Scald is there for burn hacks. Next we have Sharpedo, who is kind of the opposite of Corsola in that she's actually the most useful Pokemon on this team, I've found. Her set differs from a normal Sharpedo set in 2 respects. First off, she runs Substitute instead of Protect. What I found is that most people expect to Protect, and so they take advantage of that to switch out to a Sharpedo counter, or use a status move, use a boosting move, throw out hazards, something. And so I take advantage of that, and I use Substitute, which gives me a status buffer, it gives me a damage buffer, and it gives me a speed boost at the end of the turn, which is usually enough to start a sweep. Second, she's running a special set instead of a physical set. Sharpedo's special attack is actually not that bad. I mean, it's not as good as its regular attack, no, but it's decent, if not good. So, and a lot of the things that people switch into Sharpedo are not prepared to take a Hydro Pump or a Dark Pulse to the face. So that's sort of a double surprise factor right there, which is usually enough to start me a sweep. Next up we have Houndoom, who is the fastest thing on my team unboosted, and so I gave her a Choice Scarf to exaggerate that. And she's there whenever I really need to outspeed something and hit it hard. And she does that job, for the most part, decently well. Next up we have Venomoth, who is really mixed on this team. On the one hand, she can kind of do it. I mean, her set is useful and she can do a lot with it. But on the other hand, she's really frail, and it's hard to take advantage of that on a team that's already full of frail Pokemon. She is a quality fighting resist on this team, but she's also weak to Stone Edge, which is common coverage move on fighting types, so I can't really take advantage of that. Normally she runs Baton Pass in her last move slot. This is otherwise a standard set for her. But I found that I had really a lot of trouble baton passing to anything because, like I said, this team is frail. So instead I gave her Psychic just to give her some extra coverage against fighting types and hit him a little bit harder. Next up we have Zangoose, who is running a pretty standard Toxic Boost set. Um, Nothing really much to say there. He hits hard, he hits fast, and he's also really the only physical Pokemon on this team. And then last but not least is Shuckle. And this Shuckle came attached with a very specific set, which you can see here. Um, Whenever I switch in Shuckle, the opponent has to ask 3 questions. Do I have reliable HP recovery and status recovery on this Pokemon? Do I have Taunt, Protect, Roar, Substitute, something like that? Am I feeling lucky enough to get a critical hit? If they can't answer yes to at least one of those questions, then Shuckle owns. Now, Shuckle is by no means invincible. There's a lot of things that can counter it in one of those 3 ways. Umbreon in particular just laughs in the face of Shuckle. But for the most part, Shuckle's here to troll, and he trolls pretty well. Like I said earlier, I started off with 7 Pokemon, and I made a team of 6. Pokemon number 7 was Wynot, who only knows normal moves, which means that this is a Wynot who is running Encore, Safeguard, Tickle, and Splash. So I could either run that or I could run the Corsola, and I went with Corsola. Now, I don't get to just say goodbye to Wynot because the rules that I set up, I get to use them whenever I do this again in 2 weeks. So he's guaranteed to be on my next team, but I really didn't feel like dealing with him right now. So anyway, that is the team. Now let's get to the battle. Alright, I picked this match not because it has really great play on my part or the opponent's part. In fact, I deliberately played sloppy for a few matches. I was trying to find one where I could, show off each of the Pokemon on my team. And with the exception of Venomoth, who doesn't make an appearance in this one, I think they all do pretty well here. So, looking at his team, I feel like he's either going to lead off with Sableye or with Mineshout, so let's go ahead and find that out. And I throw out Houndoom, because he matches up pretty decently, and we have Mineshout. Mineshout was either Fake Out or Scarfed. If it was Scarfed, it's going to be a long battle, but it's Fake Out, so I just Fire Blast away. And I'm going to keep Fire Blasting, because nothing on his team really cares to take a Fire Blast. Expecting the Volt Switch, and he does so, and I just want to see what he switches out. And he brings out Ditto, and I Fire Blast anyway, because I know he's not going to Fire Blast, so I'm not worried about the Flash Fire boost. And he uses Foul Play. So, who on my team has a good defense and not great attack? Corsola. Expecting the Z2 switch in, so I Head Smash, and Head Smash hits. And the opponent is not happy. Don't know who he's going to switch in next. Oh, he sends out Rotom. Okay, I take the Volt Switch, but he Hidden Powers Grass instead. So, we're going to Zangoose, and he's going to switch to Sableye. So, I Night Slash. Then I get the Toxic Ward boost, so now I don't have to worry about a Will-O-Wisp or coming from Sableye. And we're just going to keep Night Slashing. He tricks for some reason, I don't know why, but bad play almost, but doesn't quite kill me, and I'm just going to have like 1% after this turn of Toxic Poison. So I get one last move. And I'm going to Quick Attack, however, that's really Zoroark, so he Sucker Punches, and yeah, that hurts. But it's a physical Zoroark, which doesn't have that great a move pool, so I'm going to send in Shuckle. And I'm just going to start Shell Smashing away. He's going to Swords Dance a couple of times, and it's not going to do much because this is Shuckle. Yep. And then Toxic, so we're just going to start racking up the damage on him. And he low sweeps, doesn't do shit, even at triple attack. So we're just going to keep boosting away. He's going to switch out to, I think, Rotom, who's going to overheat, so I'm just going to wrap and try and get some damage on him. He's either going to overheat or he's going to Volt Switch, and I didn't want to switch anything else into it. So I just left Shuckle in there to finish him off. And then he gets the KO on Shuckle. Now I'm going to switch into Sharpedo, and if he was smart, he would have switched in Ditto at this point, and then maybe he would have had a chance, but he doesn't. So Overheat doesn't kill me, because it's like a 1/3 strength, and so I take advantage of Substitute. And then the match is pretty much over at this point. Yeah, he's going to switch in Ditto, and Ditto can't do anything because I'm behind a sub, so I just go ahead and KO it. And then we're going to take out his weakened Zoroark next turn. And that's game. Now, like I said, it wasn't a great game on either of our parts, but I think it gives you a good idea of how most of these Pokemon work on this team. So, I guess I'll see you next time.